This podcast is sponsored by brilliant, liberation-minded people and organizations actively challenging privilege and power in their relationship with children and education. These members of the Fear of the Free Child community help produce these weekly soul work and strategic sessions around raising free people. Join us for as little as $1 a month or make a one-time donation. Visit patreon.com/Aquila.
So I was going to make this a brata episode. You remember what that term means, right? It's a Jamaican patois term for bonus, extra, more than you expected. So this was going to be a brata episode because it's going to be relatively short, but it's even more than a brata. This one is actually a full episode, and I'm dubbing this one a collage episode. I love word collabos. I think, what did Marley say it's called? A portmanteau? Something like that? When you combine words. I should have looked that up before I started recording. Anyway, so a collage is a community collage, in this case, of voices. So that voice memo app on my website, shout out to SpeakPipe, by the way. That's the service that provides that voice memo app. It's free also. Yo, double shout out to SpeakPipe. You all leave me the best freaking messages on there. I so appreciate y'all. And I said, you know what? I need to start sharing some of these messages because I know that hearing people share sometimes gives us permission to share as well. And it's also such a great way to hear how this work is working, right? Because this space is about our frustrations and our questions. But it's also about solutions. It's about the ways that we are deciding not to have a seat at anybody's table, but to build our own fucking tables and our own goddamn houses to put them in. It's about all of those things, right? So the problems and the solutions. And so I'm going to share some of the solutions that are happening here. And you know, they're not solutions like, okay, I built a school and the school has been successful, you know, or I'm now unschooling and I completely get it. Those are there as well. But this is more about the solution that comes up when you make a commitment to raising free people, the solutions that emerge, the deschooling that's happening, the gratitude that shows up when you realize how you are actually getting free and how you're actually freeing other people in the process, including children, but also not just children. So these collage, I just even like saying it, collage. These collage episodes will just be the voices of people who listen and choose to share with me through that voice memo app, and sometimes through WhatsApp, because they're folks that I have ongoing conversations with on WhatsApp, including Ty, who is our community manager here at the podcast. You'll hear from Ty in this episode. And they're just going to be little segments and snippets of feelings and feedback and gratitude and growth. I think that's useful too. So enjoy.
People, listen, I'm telling you, the revolution will not be televised, but it will be podcast. I'm like, you're revolutionary.
Hi, Aquila. This is Sarah, and I just want to reach out to you to share that the platform you have created for us is needed. And so in peace and thanks, I just share this with you. As a full-time veteran teacher turned full-time home educating mother, my husband and I decided to pull our children from school at the end of 1st and 3rd grade. At that time, I had just received master teacher designation and was the top of the pay scale and a leader in the field within my district. My son was never the childcare type, whether it was an at-home provider or an actual facility, and began demonstrating full-out anxiety when he was placed in school. He is and was a creative, a maker, an inventor, and he wasn't cognizant of having a filter at such a young age. So what was on his mind was shared, which did not serve him well in school, and particularly having the same teachers as his sister, who was polar opposite and almost 2 years older than him, took its toll. He ended up in kindergarten with a behavior contract. He had been kicked out of preschool as a peer model, and it was obvious that something was wrong. Whereas she was the child that all the teachers loved and adored. She was intelligent and kind, and though he was intelligent, and though he too was a peer model like her, she was the girl who didn't upset the apple cart, but at the same time, she wasn't allowed to blossom and be challenged academically either. So without reservation, we removed them both from school at the end of 1st and 3rd grade and kindly bowed out of the education system myself. I myself had grown up in the educational system, public education, and of course, I'd spent the majority of my adult life teaching. So here I am going into our 4th year of home educating, and I need to share that something always felt disconnected as I embarked on this journey. We went to tons of local classes. I started my own homeschool co-op, and I began to discover that the busyness in classes I was registering them in were not classes that they were even interested in themselves. Besides that, I found that they began sharing their views and opinions about what they wanted to learn, what interested them, and what they had questions about. I found that they want to be outside a lot and enjoyed spending time doing things that they enjoy without being told what to do or how to do it or when to do it. And they began thinking out loud, sharing their concerns about the world around them, and even began to challenge some of our schools of thought within the house. Why was the question of the day, and opinions were shared whether we asked for them or not. And I stumbled somehow across Radical Selfie. I think I Googled unschooling Black children because no matter how I tried to shape our day with schedules, checklists, to-do lists, even enrolled them in online public school because I was scared they would fall behind and that I was not doing enough and somehow letting myself and my profession down by not making my home feel and operate like school. This journey began. This radical journey began. This somewhat confusing journey began. This sometimes embarrassing because you don't really know how to explain to people. But then I was like, you know what? It's none of your business anyway. Journey began. And so when I heard your podcast, it was an instantaneous burden lifted, and I felt at home, and I knew that we were on to something. So some of the challenges that we have faced during this transition to deschooling, to unschooling and self-directed learning, none of which I knew about until I stumbled across your podcast, has been the ability to not get angry when what the children choose to do is not necessarily what me and my husband would choose for them to do, or when they begin to share opinions and no one asked them to share, and being from that old school of thought, being quiet when grown folks are talking and not having a choice in the matter, speak when you're spoken to. Even giving hugs to family or friends or like perfect strangers at church or something when you don't want to. And getting a spanking for not being obedient are things that we grew up with that have caused quite a mindset shift in our households. And I venture to say it is a gift. Sharing your opinion does not make you disrespectful, nor does sharing that opinion in a way that is not having a tone or neck rolling or eyes rolling or any of the perceived sass that maybe some brown folks may think about when we say a child is quote unquote talking back. My husband and I had to talk about this recently because they challenged him on some things that they felt in their heart need to be shared. And the conversation ended with the children stating that we will agree to disagree. And this type of thing takes some getting used to. But when I tell you the amount of free thinking and knowledge acquisition and love of learning and daily discovery of self and talents has been mind-boggling. We are thankful for your family's voice and sharing your journey with us as we travel along our self-directed learning path. Better for it because of your platform, the research that's being done on this type of learning lifestyle, and the Alliance for Self-Directed Education. Akila, this is everything to us. Thank you so much.
You can't keep using tools of oppression and expect to raise free people.
Like, I'm just annoyed because everywhere I meet, like, it's just ageism. And I really, really, really cannot stand that. I have dealt with ageism my whole entire life. And I hate it. It's just like people are so freaking focused on this silly biological age. But in reality, it's just like some children, I believe, are old souls, and there could be soul-wise older than us parents. And I see it all the time. And my children, both of my boys are definitely old souls. Yeah, I'm just highly irritated. And even me growing up, but like, oh, you're too young. How do you know this? That's like, what the? No. I just get so frustrated. So yeah, sorry. This is my little rant for today. I can't stand it. Even our inner child, like we have our inner child, which is like our right brain. And we need to speak up more about that because this is ridiculous.
So I created Love Y'all Tees out of the desire to be an expression of love in the world. I started saying love y'all at the end of several of my thought-provoking, or what I thought was thought-provoking Facebook posts about anything that was about social justice or race relations or education, etc. And I also finished my podcast, the Race Haven podcast shows, by saying love y'all, peace. So then I decided that I wanted to wear my own brand, and I just realized that that's my thing. I love humanity, I love people, and I always use love y'all. It's a natural feeling. And I said, how can I put that on, clothing? And that's where Love Y'all Tees came from. I created it initially for myself to wear, and I wore the first shirt out, and I got a lot of attention and compliments on it. A lot of people asked how they could get one. So I decided, okay, let's go ahead and move forward with selling these. And immediately I knew that I could use it as a fundraiser for what we're doing with Grow. So anyone who supports Love Y'all Tees, 100% of the profits go towards the community supported education model in Grow, and as a revenue generator that allows us to keep facilitating tuition-free self-directed education.
Shout out to my newest patrons, Antonio. That's whose voice you heard at the beginning, by the way. Shout out to my dad. And also Carol. Thank you so much, Antonio and Carol, for becoming members of this community via Patreon. Y'all, if you haven't yet visited my Patreon page, please do so. Patreon.com, patreon.com/Akila. It's also on the show notes page, raisingfreepeople.com/88. It's on every show notes page. And I am doing my very best there to be really, really specific about offering you things that I think are beneficial in exchange for your financial contribution, because I do this primarily solo, now with the help of Ty, and some other folks who chip in now and then when they can. So support on Patreon helps this to be sustainable for me. And I really appreciate that contribution, whether it's $1 a month or $50 a month or $1,000 a month. I don't have any patrons at the $1,000 a month level yet, but if you're listening and you could change that, go ahead on, do that. Thank y'all for listening as usual. Much love and more to come. Peace.
Fare of the Free Child is a weekly podcast that centers
diverse narratives, insightful commentary,
learning with our children and deschooling ourselves, owning our multiple identities and treating children with dignity,
creating community and sharing conversation from often silenced spaces,
breathing life into liberation practices proactively and on purpose.
It's about parenting. It's about self-directed education, loving. It's about learning.
Thanks for listening to Fare of the Free Child podcast. Like the show? Then show your love or give your feedback at akilasrichards.com.